free card class is the Scotties Christmas cards. You can get the kit for free to make all of the cards that I'm sharing with you today. Even Debbie Scott guessed it right. Thank you. You guys know me. You can get the kit for free with just a $35 order. Everything will be cut, prepped, embossed, and organized for you to just sit down and craft and make the cute little cards that I have to share with you today. No stamped images, but I'll try to do everything else for you to get you on your road to easy projects. Just shop with this code right here. Okay, so there's that. Remember, some of the items that we're using today are included in the sale. So here are my Scottie cards using the Christmas Scottie bundle. We're making these cards here, and you're going to notice each one of them also has this beautiful Whimsical Woodland 3D embossing folder. And I'm using some of the dies I'm going to recommend to you that are on sale through tomorrow. So let's get started on the first card. Hopefully I have everything at the ready. We are going to start off with this elegant gold embossed card. It's got all kinds of shimmer and shine on it. Oh my gosh, can you see everything going on? So there is gold foil in the background. I have picked up some black glitter paper. I'm using the white glitter paper, some red rhinestones there, and then I've got shimmer paper for my greeting as well. So we are going to do some soft embossing, we're going to do some die cutting, some punching, and a little bit of stamping. So let's get started here. Let me get my kits. And we are going to start with the white card base. I have a rectangle of the gold foil paper. I have a piece of real red cardstock. I have a scrap of black glitter paper, and I know it's not current right now. If you don't happen to have black glimmer paper or black shimmer paper, you can always just punch in black and use a wink of Stella. I also have a swatch of the white glitter paper, and this does happen to be current. It might be a little bit deceiving because it's in a pack with red. It's called Real Red and White 6x6 glimmer paper, and so that's what I'm using there. And I'm just using a little 1-inch swatch. I'm also using a small scrap of white shimmer paper. So let's get started with our cutting and our embossing. I am going to use the larger die cutting machine today. And I'm just taking a sip of my Mai Tai. It is very tasty. The mixologist got it just right today. It's really, really good. Maybe it's the secret ingredient. The rum is straight from Kauai. It's very, very tasty. All right, so as I said, I'm using the large stamping, cut, and emboss machine. I'm going to start off with embossing. So I've got my platform. And, oh dear, I forgot my embossing plate. Let me grab that. And, oh, holy smokes, where is the embossing plate? Let me see if I can round it up. Bear with me. Alrighty, hiding underneath a sheet of paper. That's often where I'm going to find stuff. All right, so I'm going to start with my gold foil paper. I have my Whimsical Woodland 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to note the orientation on it, slip my embossing paper in it, and just a note, I want to have a full, I don't want to have a tiny snippet of tree on there because it will cut. This is pretty thick paper going through, but you're going to see the gold foil really brings out all of the impression in the embossing folder. It's super cool. And I'm just going to open that up. Look at that beautiful impression that you're getting. Love the trees in the background. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm also going to cut my frame. So I'm talking about the red frame that's kind of the focal point, or zeroing in for the Scottie on that beautiful gold background. So for cutting, I am going to use my shim, my cutting pad. I need my red paper, and I'm already losing things. I'm back to my former self. Okay, so there's my red paper. I'm going to take 2 of the decal dies. So the decal dies are one of the items that are included in the sale, and I think that they come up to $24. I should have checked the price, but dies are 20% off, which is a really good deal. It's quite a savings actually. And to hold those in place, because I'm going to make I'm using, I think it's this 3rd largest die, and then I skip one size and come down another. And I am going to use washi tape to hold this in place so that the dies don't wiggle as I'm passing it through. And I know I was struggling to cut earlier today because my top cutting pad is quite curved. I think I need a new one. I go through cutting pads quite often. Okay, so now I have one on top. Do you have these rectangle decal dies already? And see, I really have to force it through. I've tried flipping the cutting plate so that it won't bow too much, but with as much use as my plates get, it's hard to avoid. Okay, so I'm going to bring that aside, take that down, and I'm going to remove my washi. So I love the idea of the little frames, and I have to be really careful pulling off the washi because it can tear the paper. Again, being really gentle. There we go. And there's my die. Here is my frame, and I can actually use that inside piece for another card. So I'm going to put that aside. So I've got my frame, I've got my gold foil, my card base, which is Whisper White. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that down. So it's not speed stamping, but I'm doing my best to stay within the half-hour time. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere the gold foil to the card base, and I'm just going to use my favorite adhesive, and I'm going to be generous with it so that the foil stays in position. Right there. I'm going to bring this up and put it right in here. So the gold foil, you only get 2 sheets, and because I measured 4 inches across, so you're going to be able to get 6 card fronts from 1 sheet. If you use, typically I just use a small little showcase of the gold foil, but I really wanted this to be like an elegant front. Just trying to burnish that down. Oh, I have lots of bone folders to go around today. They're all over my desk. Okay, so the frame itself is going to be popped up with dimensionals. So let's see if I can bring those in. And I am going to use, it seems like I'm always working around the edge on my dimensionals. Who uses all the middle dimensionals? That's kind of crazy, right? How come I only ever have the borders left? I think every week I come live and I'm using borders. Still, that's what I like about Stampin' Up's dimensionals, is they are usable right up to the edge. So I'm going to support my frame generously, and I trim them so they're slightly less than the width of the frame. And, you know, if you are a demonstrator, we got to have a sneak peek at the retiring list, because this mini is going to be expiring in a month or so, and we got a sneak peek of what is out and what is going to remain. And sadly, the Christmas Scotties are not returning. They will be gone as of the end of this catalog. So if you haven't got your Christmas Scottie bundle yet, you want to add it to your list. And I'm just saying, you can use the Christmas Scottie bundle way beyond Christmas. And I think I've been using it for all kinds of projects, even though I know I'm a Scottie girl, and not everyone is, but you see Scotties everywhere. Oh, so speaking of seeing Scotties everywhere, ask me what time it is. Can you see that? LOL, right? Okay, so there's a story to the watch. I belong to, or actually I follow a Scottie page on Facebook, and there was a post, let me see if I can continue working. And there was a post yesterday of someone shared this watch that they happened to get for quite a deal at one of my local department stores, Macy's. And they said they had purchased it at Macy's and it was only $9.99. And shortly after that, someone commented, not only was it only $9.99 and available, they purchased it online. So how easy is it for us to just shop and just click away? And so I quickly got onto the Macy's site, dropped it in my cart, hit submit, and just a little while later, I was on my way out to go pick it up at the Macy's just a few miles down the road. Score, right? Okay, so I've kind of assembled my Scottie. I just punched. I'm now going to do my stamping. So very little stamping on this project. I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas in Memento Black ink. I'm going to put this one aside, and I have mounted it on a D block. You don't need a D block, but I'm making this D block work over time. Whoa, I've got one on each, a stamp on each side here. So Merry Christmas on shimmer white. I'm going to close that up before I have my elbows in ink. And next I need my trimmer, which is right over here. I'm just going to trim that down. It comes out to be about 3/4 of an inch wide, right through there. Let me shift it over just a little bit. I don't want it to be too narrow. There we go. And I'm going to trim this down widthwise. And again, this little hatchet cutter is the bomb. I love it. Always using it. Okay, let me bring back in my card. We are going to start assembling, and I need some dimensionals. So I'm going to start off with some black, in fact, mini black dimensionals, since I've got black glitter paper that I'm going to add here. And I'm going to pop the Scottie right onto the golds, just about 1/2 inch from the bottom. And then I'm going to add my sentiment. So I need a little bit of dimension on the right side. I'm not going to put any towards the left because that's going to happen to land on the frame, and you'll see what I mean. What I am going to add is a little bit of flat adhesive, and I'm going to put it right in position here. And it's going to get tucked right underneath his beard. So the cool thing about this little Scottie stamp set is you get 3 pups, and that very much reflects my current Scottie family, 2 black Scotties and 1 white Scottie. So the house is full. I'm going to add the little white glimmer paper bow with the glue dot, and just to make it extra festive, I'm using the red rhinestones today. And if your order is $50 or more, you're going to get a free embellishment pack so that you can embellish your projects. And I'm going to add 3 right onto the bow here in like a little triangle shape. And one more time, or one more. And there we go. So there's the outside. The inside is going to say, let's see, I can show you how I filled it. May your days be furry and bright. And I'm using some of the little ribbon streamers in real red. So let me finish that up. Let me start off with my sentiment. Put those aside. This is a photopolymer stamp set. So 1, it's easy to see through. And 2, it actually works out better if you stamp on a piercing mat. I'm looking, oh, there it is right there. On a piercing mat, so you get a better impression. Right like so. And let me ink up again. Right there. Loads of room to write a message in case you're sending out cards and this is your annual card. Sometimes Christmas time is the only time we reach out to lots of friends and family, so it's kind of nice to write a little personal note. I am going to ink up that ribbon streamer in red, and I've got a piece of scrap paper on my piercing mat so that I don't soil the mat. Let's see, I think I'm going to start it off here, and I'm going to have it falling from the top. So there's one. Then I'm going to have a little shorter piece. I'm going to flip it so it's going the opposite direction right in here. And then I'm also going to put a partial streamer to the left. So that makes it a little bit more festive with the red too. And there's the inside of the card and the Merry Christmas gold foil front with the dazzling black Scottie. So there's card number 1. And remember, all the materials will be cut, scored, organized, ready for you to stamp. I'm going to go off to, let's see, I will do this Merry Christmas card again. And again, I'm using the folder. This time I am using vellum, which looks really cool. And I'm going to share with you a technique that was shared just this past weekend at the Onstage event. And I thought it was a really cool idea. So I'm going to share it with you now. Let me get my supplies. So this card has a garden green card base. And it's been pre-scored. I need one of those bone folders. And I'm just going to go ahead and burnish it. It's right in half, so 4 1/4 mark. A really traditional Christmas green, so garden green. I have a piece of vellum. I have a piece of basic white that's going to go on the inside. And I've already pre-cut one of the stitched rectangles from the Stylish Shapes dies. And by the way, if you are shopping today or tomorrow, both the decal dies that I just used and the Stylish Shape dies that I cut my square from are on sale through tomorrow, 20% off, so it's a really good deal. All right, then I have some white for stamping, so just some scraps. So let me get started with the die cutting. Let's get that out of the way. Make sure I don't lose any of these things here. So I have my vellum. I'm going to grab my standard cut and emboss machine. And one more time, I am embossing, so I just need the platform. I need my folder. And again, I'm just going to make sure I have this set right. And you have to be careful with the vellum. It's very delicate, and when you run it through the machine, there's a chance it might actually actually cut the paper, but since it's being adhered to the card base, we should be safe. So very easy, just gonna push that through, soft emboss it. There's that. And I'm gonna need this one more time for our last card, but for now I can get it out of the way. And there is the vellum, which actually looks pretty amazing on its own, but we're gonna do a technique on here. And let me take a sip of my very tasty Mai Tai. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. If you simply layer this onto the garden green, it looks a little bit cloudy. Let's make the trees a little bit more vibrant. What we're gonna do is flip it over. I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper. So this will do. And I'm gonna get my garden green ink and a blender brush. And we are gonna add some green ink behind the vellum. It's gonna make the image pop a lot more on your cardstock. So we're just gonna rub it gently and put some color in. Again, this is the back of the vellum. And it is the debossed side of your vellum. So the image is down. Yeah, and it did kind of cut. I just felt one of the trees kind of split, which is not a problem because, as I said, it's going to be layered onto the cardstock, and I'm going to use my Seal Plus to adhere it. So what I'm doing is adding some color to bring out the images on the embossing folder. You'll see in just a second when I flip that over. So right now it just looks a little bit green, but when I put it in front of the garden green cardstock, I should have had it up side by side, but you can see these trees really make quite an impression because we've got all the detail coming through. Now to get this onto the card base, I'm going to use Seal Plus, but rather than apply the adhesive to the vellum, I'm going to apply it to the cardstock. Whoops. And I usually do better here if I have, and it's not quite working. I should have my silicone mat. Let's see if I've got it handy. I'm not locating my silicone mat. Sorry, I should have had it handy. Let me see if I can be really gentle in applying the seal. So sometimes the trick is not to press too hard, but whoa, I'm really struggling with this one. I wish I had my, there we go, getting it started. Okay, let's see if that's all it takes. It is really wanting to tear, and the best way I have found to manage this is to have the silicone mat right underneath, but I didn't think to grab it before I settled in here. I'm thinking, let me go look one more place. All right, sorry to have to put you on pause, and hopefully that didn't take up too much of my 30 minutes. Okay, so let's see if this is gonna work for me. Much better. What a miracle the silicone mat performs. So no, it's still kind of tearing off, and I'm really struggling with this one. Drops. There we go. And again, that is not looking good. Just trying to add just the tiniest bit, and I think I'm going to have to revert. How about some glue dots? That way I don't have to run. The glue dots are a little bit concerning because they might peek through. What I love about the seal is it doesn't show through on vellum. But since I'm not having great success with the paper right now, I'm going to have to go this route. Let's see. And I'm going to use one more. All right, so let's see if we can get that to secure in place. I don't know. Do you have a tip that you like to use for your seal or Seal Plus? As I said, I had been doing much better with the silicone mat, but I guess it's kind of temperamental. All right, so the cool thing is you really can't see the adhesive that way. Plus we've got our color. Now the reason I didn't want to run the adhesive behind the vellum is that removes the coloring on it. Kind of defeats the purpose of doing the blending. So let's keep going. We've got our card base done. I'm going to go ahead and add that little present that was cut with one of the stylish shapes, and I'm doing that so that I don't lose it. It's like hurry and get it in place before it gets lost. So there, and let's see. Kind of reaching in front. So again, I'm using dimensionals on the present. And this is going to go kind of in the center. Right like so. All right. And we need to do some stamping, so let me push this aside. I'm going to go ahead and stamp a Scottie on a scrap of white, and I'm going to do stamp the ribbon and the greeting here. So I need my piercing mat back. Let's grab the black ink, and we're going to stamp the pup that is sitting up. Make sure your stamp is nice and juicy there, and I'm going to make sure that I have ink on all areas. And I'm wondering, Barb, are you watching the clock for me? I promised to try and be done in half an hour. I don't know how it's working out. I think I'm already running overtime. All right, so there is my Scottie dog. Oh, I do not like that at all. Let me try again. Let's do it this way. I think it's bad video day. Everything went well when I was creating the cards, but now I'm having issues with the adhesive and with the ink pad. So let's give second time's a charm, right? It is better. I'm going to add the little bow for the Scottie, and it is a stamp. There's a very tiny stamp for the collar, and I'm just going to stamp it in real red. And then there's a little tiny stamp for a bow that goes right behind. There we go. There's my Scottie dog, and I'm going to hand snip him, and it should go rather fast. He's pretty simple. There is a coordinating punch, but the punch is for the pup that's walking. So this one's sitting up, no cutting tool. So you could, if you like the sitting Scottie, you could design your card so that you're stamping directly onto the layer that's going to be flat. I like him popped up, so I don't mind cutting just a little bit. Right there. And he's super cute with this present. And if you enjoy these projects, you can skip over to YouTube, and I have lots of other videos with other tutorials. I don't think there's another Scottie tutorial, although I've done quite a bit with my bundle since it was introduced. All right, and if you haven't clicked over to the Stampin' Up website to check out all of the things on sale, you might want to do that before tomorrow. I know yesterday I was trying to place orders for some things and they were already unavailable. So some of the things tend to sell out. And since it's from the annual catalog, they will be coming back. But of course, if we're trying to get the sale price, it's not going to happen. So shop early. Some things are unavailable already, but that's just the way things go. That happens when you go shopping in storefronts, brick and mortar storefronts as well. So it's always like, if you see it, you want to pick it up, because next time when you go by, it might not be there. There. And I'm just going to give a little bit of detail to his tail here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to push him aside. I should have done my other stamping. I am going to stamp that long red ribbon. So I'm looking for my stamp. Oh my goodness, there it is. It's been a while since I had so many things go wrong for my video. I don't like that. So that is going to be stamped in real red. And then I'm also going to stamp the greeting that says Merry Christmas again in the black. And I just need a tiny, tiny piece of white right there. All right, and the greeting is hand snipped. I kind of went around the lettering. Let me show you what I mean. So this is kind of a stacked greeting. And I just came in close and kind of followed the shape of the letters right in through here. And this one's really easy. And I did follow a little bit of the shape of the letters at the bottom as well. And just kind of shaped it out. All right, and the good news is I did pre-hand snip the ribbon, so I've already got one cut for us. There it is. I'm going to bring back in my card. And Scottie Dog needs a couple of black dimensionals on the back. I'm going to put one down at his bottom, and then at his head, and center the body. And let's see if I can put a tiny snip on his tail. I like those little ends to be tacked down so that they don't get stuck in the envelope going in or out. All right, here we go. So today's class is the Christmas Scotties. We're doing 3 Christmas cards using the Whimsical Woodland 3D embossing folder, and I've got 3 different techniques for you. So far we've just embossed on gold foil. This one was embossed on vellum, and then we added color behind to bring out the trees and the images in the folder. All right, so there is the Scottie. Next, I'm going to add the long ribbon streamer. And I'm going to use the small white, dimensionals. And again, I want to use tiny, tiny streams so that they're tacked down. And I just snipped around the border of the white dimensionals so that I can get it thin, and even that's too big. It's nice to have support in these smaller areas, but it's hard when even mini dimensionals are too big, but it'll work. Okay, so that's what I've done. Just put it in strategic places. Oh, and now I've got a delivery. That's kind of exciting. It's UPS, which means it might be my order. Attendees, demonstrators who attended on stage this past weekend got to order a few things from the upcoming mini catalog, so I took advantage of that. I'm kind of excited to see what's going to arrive today. Okay, so I'm going to put this in kind of at a slant, and it's going to be tacked down, and I'm adding, in addition to the ribbon, I'm going to add a little bow that I have pre-made. This comes from the Real Red and Garden Green ribbon combo. And I have a tiny little bow. I like to attach my bows with a mini glue dot, and I take the tape and I don't even touch the glue dot. I just put the ribbon right to it. I'm going to bring this in at the bottom here. And that's not going to work because the little Scottie's face is covered. So let's trim that bow up. And this is getting in a dangerous position. I don't like that. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can shift that little tail on the ribbon. Let's tuck it underneath. Right, like so. Let me trim on this side. And I'm going to add my greeting dimensional to the right, and then I'm going to use a little dot of liquid glue right in here. There we go. And I'm going to grab my jewels, and we're going to put oops, I need a little bit more glue there so it stays in place, and hopefully it won't ooze. There we go. Just hold that down. And I'm going to put 3 of the red rhinestones down. So just below the Merry Christmas. And I'm kind of shooting for a triangle shape. So 2 at the bottom and then 1 a little bit further up. And kind of like right underneath the bow. So the inside of the card, there's the outside. The inside, again, is going to say, may your days be furry and bright. So I need my piercing mat once again, my Memento Black, and my sentiment, may your days be furry and bright. And it goes towards the top, so you have loads of space for your annual note. And then we're going to decorate this with a little present. And this is also from the stamp set. It's Build a Present. So I'm going to first stamp in red. I have it mounted on the A block, and I'm just going to put it way down here at the bottom. Let's see if I push it up, you can see better. There's the base of the present. Then I'm going to bring in the ribbon in Garden Green. And I'm just going to push this down so I can actually see through. And let's see right there. The stamp kind of looks like a bone, so it could do double duty as a little bone. Put it right position there. And there's our little present. Now the last step is going to be to adhere that to the inside of the card. And I'm using, whoa, got a mess going on. I'm using flat adhesive here. So my favorite. Right through here. And I've cut it about 1/4 of an inch shorter and narrower than the card base. There we go. And there is card number 2, Merry Christmas, using the vellum and the Whimsical Woodland Embossing Folder. So 2 cards using the same folder, same bundle. Let's go on with the third, and the third has yet another technique as well. Let me bring that in. Let me see if I can shift some of this ink out of the way. I get really nervous when I have open ink pads all over. How about you? Do you worry? Because I can see either my palm landing in the ink or somehow the wrong part of the card getting inky. All right, so I got a little bit of refreshment there. Let me show you card number 3. And this one again has the Whimsical Woodland Embossing Folder, but I've done a different technique with that. You can see, again, we're bringing out the trees, the detail in all the trees. And this card is on crumb cake. So the card base is crumb cake. Then I have a layer. And let's go ahead and fold that up. Where's my foam folder? All right, let's see if I can get some of these things out of the way because the work surface is getting a little too crowded for my liking. All right, push these things out of the way. I have lots of dimensional coverings and the pups seem to find that. All of them. They come up in the darndest places. Okay, so then I have another piece of crumb cake. This is going to be the embossed piece. We have a basic white for the inside. We have a stylish shape circle. So again, those dies are on sale. And I also cut one of the banners in garden green, also from the stylish shapes. And then I've got a scrap of red for stamping. So let's get started with the stamping and the background piece. And what we're going to do is our inking and our die cutting. So let me put my stamps out of the way. Let me bring back in. Yikes. There. And I'm still tidying up. How does it get so messy? Does your work surface get messy when you're creating? I have so many things going on. How does that happen? All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in, again, my cut and emboss machine. I've got my platform number 1. And I need my shim or item 2, layer 2, a cutting pad, which would be 3. I'm grabbing my folder. Oops, actually, let me back up. We're embossing, so I don't even need those. I do need my folder and my cardstock. So what I'm going to do, and actually I should have done this before I put the cut and emboss machine in place, I'm going to open up the folder. So the side with the label, I am going to ink that up so that we have a beautiful impression on our cardstock. And I'm just going to ink up the entire folder. And this is behind the front or the side with the label. So I'm going to pat down because I don't want it to be blotchy, or I don't want the ink too heavy in areas. There we go. And it's just like so. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that ink. So it's almost like stamping down. I'm going to insert my scrap. It's almost like stamping down, so it won't be as dark. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and insert my cardstock and make sure I'm covered with the area that I just inked up. This goes in the cut and emboss machine with the cutting plate, or sorry, with the embossing plate, which happens to be plate number 4. I'm going to crank that through. Put that aside. Put that there, put that there. All right, I've got quite a little mess going on. And so here now is my layer. So you can see how those trees are really popping through. Thank you. All right. Well, enjoy Bunko, Barbara. Thanks for popping in. Good luck at Bunko tonight. All right. There we go. So next, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I need my, let's see, where's my circle? Not good. What happened to my circle? There we go. I am going to stamp the third pup. So we've used every Scottie position. And I'm going to stamp him in the Memento Tuxedo Black. This one, the Scottie is sitting and he's looking to the left. And we're going to just stamp down, and let me make sure he is inked up nicely. And I'm not happy. It looks like part of his beard isn't getting inked up. There we go, that's better. Sometimes it's better to flip it and put the ink pad down. Okay, so I'm going to ink up the Scottie here. There we go. Oh, see, he came off a little bit light in some areas. That's okay. I'm going to come in with some snowflakes, also part of the stamp set. And I need, again, my scrap paper, because I'm going to be stamping off the cardstock. And I'm just going to stamp some snowflakes around the little dog. There. And then, whoops, I'm going to do one last thing on my label here. I'm going to bring in my painter brush and get a little bit of color from my crumb cake lid, because I'm going to add I'm going to ground the Scottie. Right now he's just kind of floating, and I'm going to give him a little ground in here. And I'm using crumb cake. Just going to kind of give him a little sitting area, a little shadow area, so it doesn't look like he's just floating. There we go. Easy. All right, then I'm going to add his collar. And I am going to, I could just use, let's see, I could just use the little stamp. And I'm looking for my ink pad. Let's see if I can stamp off. I'm going to get some green and ink up his little collar. Put it right in position. There we go. I'm going to do that again. I need a little bit whiter. There we go. And almost done here. Next, I am going to add, so I can take, let's do our inside stamping. Inside, we are going to just stamp the, oh, I didn't mean to put the crumb cake away. There we go. And I need the snowflakes. And I'm going to have a little snow flurry coming down. And then we're stamping our greeting. So each of the cards has Merry Christmas, may your days be furry and bright. And I'm going to stamp in Memento Black and right in place here. Oh, hello, Corinne. Thank you. I'm glad you like the cards. These are really kind of fun and playful. Perfect cards for either to the dog or from the dog. And in our household, yes, our dogs actually send out cards, usually to other canines in the family. It's kind of fun. All right, so that's on the inside of our card. And you know what? I am going to go ahead and add it right this minute. And now look, my Seal Plus is behaving. I think it's maybe the heavier weight cardstock that I have trouble with. And it's just, I think it's a matter of using it constantly or consistently. There we go. So then I am also going to adhere my embossed and colored card front. And this one I'm going to be putting just my liquid glue all the way through. There we go. And this goes flat adhered. So this little Scottie bundle is perfect for cards and gift items or boxing tags, and it could be used year-round. For dog lovers, it's a great little set to send to families who also are dog lovers. All right, so then I did mention I die cut one of the banners from the Stylish Shapes die set, and I'm just going to slice it in half, and I'm going to make it peek out behind the banner in 2 areas. And the way I did that, I just added a little bit of liquid glue right in here. Yes, I totally agree, Corinne. Corinne says she has trouble getting good ink coverage on the Scottie dog stamps. I agree. It's a solid image, and you can see how mine is a little bit lighter and the little snout here too. And I guess, you know, ideally it should all be pretty well covered. However, in reality, dog coats are that way as well. Lighter areas, darker areas. What would solve the problem is to use the Stamparatus, and then you can do multiple inkings on the same spot, and that'll give you the nice solid dark covering. So totally agree with you, and that's why I was double checking on when I inked up my image to make sure that I had ink all over, and still it came up a little bit short. All right, so my next thing I'm going to add to this really fun background is one of the wonderful snowflake die cuts. These are really fun little shapes to add. You get sheets, and all you have to do is pop out the little snowflake. It's already cut for you. Just gently pull it off of the sheet there. And then what I've done is just put a little bit of a little bit of glue, don't put ink, behind, and I did put it on the tips of some of the little snowflake branches here because, again, I wanted to try to tack some areas down so that when you're pulling the card in or out of the envelope, the little pieces don't get bent. All right, so there's a nice little snowflake, really pretty with the little woodland area. The focal point gets popped up with dimensionals. So just using this here. I'm always using the edges of these dimensionals, and just going to add that there. Oh, I think I'm going way over my half hour. I had good intentions to be done in half an hour, but I had lots of snags today. Okay, so then that gets kind of centered. We're not done yet. We still need our Merry Christmas greeting. I should have done that earlier. Let me get my piercing mat, and I am stamping the greeting on red cardstock in black ink. It is the Merry Christmas. And you know, Corinne, I think part of it too is the memento pad. It's not the spongy sort. It's a little bit harder to get a good ink coverage. Just make sure that your pad is well juiced. So there. All right, I'm gonna bring in my cutter, my trimmer, and I'm gonna slice that down. Oh, what I was gonna say, I shouldn't have put it away. I did stamp the greeting twice, only because the letters or the words are stacked pretty tight. And if I wanted to use the hatchet trimmer, it's a little bit tricky to get in the right place, but you can always use your paper snips and just slice it right down the middle. And I'm going to trim a little bit closer. And again here. Well, that one's pretty close already. And this is going to get popped up again with dimensionals. So let's see here. Whoops. Flying out of my hand. And I'm going to put one at each end. And this is an optional step. You could easily just put the greeting on one piece. I like to snip it apart. I need one more little piece of dimensional. I like to snip it apart because you can do some little more creative placement that way. So I'm not worried about everything being straight and aligned. I like it a little bit wonky, so I'm going to have it down a little bit, and then the other one I will put going the opposite way. And let's see, one more thing. Because he is just black, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of Winkostella. It's going to make him a little bit shinier, and it's also going to push some of the ink around too, so it won't be as dull. And on his snout, blend it in so it acts almost like a little paintbrush. Just adding all around shimmer. And then one last step, if I can find him, where are they? My gems, there they are. The rhinestones, the red rhinestones are going to come up onto his collar. Again, in a little triangle. And right through there. So Merry Christmas. May your days be furry and bright. There's our last Scottie dog card. And I don't know, that might be the last time you see me work with the Scottie dog before Christmas. I do know I myself ordered a second bundle because I have fear that my punch is going to stick, or I'm going to lose one of those tiny little stamps that are in the set. So I was happy to go ahead and buy my second set. And let me share with you all three cards that we created today using the Scottie Dog bundle and the Whimsical Woodland Embossing Folder. Thank you, Pam. She says all of them are adorable. I just think that the little bundle is stinking cute. If I were ever to achieve $1 million in Stampin' Up sales, can you hear them? My choice would be a Scottie stamp set, and here I've already achieved that. Not the $1 million in sales, but I've achieved the Scottie bundle. So I'm just having a good time with it. I love it. I love creating packaging and tags and cards with it. It is super cute. And that punch just makes things go so easily. All right, so if you would like this card kit sent to you, all you have to do is place an online order of $35 by Sunday using the host code. By the way, the order would also qualify you for the Fun Folds monthly tutorial. If your order is $50 or more, you also get the free red rhinestone embellishments. Yes, you're right, Pam. It is in my signature. It's in my logo too. There he is right there. So yeah, that qualifies you, and you just go shop over at Shop with Just Stamp or bit.ly Shop with Just Stamp. Place your order. I will send you the card kit ready for you to create your cards. Again, the decal dies are on sale, the stylish shape dies are on sale, and lots of other things. Dies, punches, stamp sets, what else? Embossing folders. So cute. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate the comments. All right, my friends. Enjoy the weekend. Get some stamping done. And remember, we're shooting for December 25th to get our cards in the mail, right? Christmas is coming on December 25th this year, so don't get caught short. Get your cards out. Enjoy. Thanks so much for joining.